In this segment, I'll highlight the tendency of some customers to adopt new products more rapidly than others, and I'll propose a framework for leveraging this tendency to develop a more effective launch targeting strategy. As I established in an earlier segment, there are two targeting criteria that matter most in developing an effective targeting strategy. The first is a customer's potential for using products or services in your defined category. And the second is the market share that your product or service enjoys with each customer. But for new product launches, we have to acknowledge that brand share is not yet available. In these instances, I will contend that category potential and a customer's propensity for adopting new products are the two targeting criteria that matter most. To bring this concept to life, I'll highlight the new product adoption pattern for a late entrant into the U.S. schizophrenia market. And I'll use this market because customer-level market share is available, and because customer-level market share is necessary to establish a customer's propensity for adopting new products. Now, as you can see in this example, market share for this new product began low and plateaued relatively quickly. This was a Me Too product, and this pattern of adoption should not have been a surprise to anyone. What was surprising, however, was a subsequent analysis of customers that revealed 4 distinct product adoption patterns. At month 6, for example, the average market share for customers in Group 1 was 10 times higher than it was for customers in Group 4. At month 12, that gap actually widened, and the average market share for customers in Group 1 was 12 times higher than it was for customers in Group 4. Now, this is a really important distinction because there are customers with high category potential in Groups 1, 2, 3, and 4, and if you didn't consider propensity for adoption as a targeting criteria, you would apply similar effort and resources to all of those customers despite the fact that some of them are 12 times more valuable to you than others. So the natural question to ask is, could these early adopters have been identified prior to the launch of this brand? And the answer is yes. A key learning about new product adoption behavior in the pharmaceutical domain is that it's not brand specific. So early adopters for products in one category also tend to be early adopters for products in other categories that are relevant to each customer. In essence, propensity for adopting new products appears to be customer dependent rather than category or brand dependent. And this means that we can leverage past behavior in one category to predict the future adoption behavior of a customer in another category. One method for scoring adoption propensity is to average a customer's performance on other recent launches. If we take product A, for example, we would first sort customers in descending order based on their respective market shares at month 6. We would then segment customers into quartiles of equal size based on their market shares at month 6. So quartile 4 customers would be our most enthusiastic early adopters, and quartile 1 customers would be our least. We then average customer scores for other recent launches to develop a single adoption score for each potential customer. Our final step is to combine our two launch targeting criteria into a single score for each customer so that we can prioritize our customers from most valuable to least valuable. And to do this, we need to convert these variables into a similar normalized scale. To complete this task, we simply divide the value of each variable by the average value for that particular variable. And that's the formula that you see at the bottom of your screen. If I use customer number 1 as an example, I would divide its adoption ranking of 4 by the average adoption ranking of 2. And this will generate a normalized score of 2, as you see on the right-hand side of your screen. If we then average these scores together for category potential and adoption ranking, we get that single unified score that we're looking for, and that's what we need to prioritize our customers at launch from most valuable down to least valuable. That said, there are a few caveats related to the use of adoption criteria that you'll need to keep in mind. First is that the tendency for early adopters in one category to be early adopters in other relevant categories should be confirmed in your domain before you use this approach. This tendency was confirmed in the pharmaceutical industry, but it may not necessarily apply to the domain that you're operating in. You also need market share data by customer from previous new product launches in order to establish an accurate ranking of adoption potential. Absolute usage information for new products is valuable directionally, but without a denominator, it can also be misleading. For example, if customer A makes 5 purchases out of a total of 10, his or her market share is very different from a customer who makes 5 purchases out of a total of 100. Finally, if your ranking of adoption potential is more directional in nature, you may want to apply a lower weighting to this criteria, say 25% instead of 50%. If the quality of the data that's available to you is simply not strong enough, there's an alternative approach that you might consider, namely to rely exclusively on your customer's category potential to guide your promotional efforts at launch. You can then survey actual customer market share at month 6, reprioritize your customers, and adjust your promotional efforts accordingly. In summary, the 2 targeting criteria that matter most are a customer's category potential and their brand share. Brand share cannot be predicted accurately at launch, but a customer's propensity for early adoption can. To do this, you need market share by customer from previous new product launches in order to establish an accurate ranking of adoption potential. If this data is not available, you may want to profile customers again shortly after launch to include actual adoption behavior as a valuable second targeting criteria.